Welcome back to Two and a Half Chicks. It's me, Tess, and Monica, and Brian.
Hi.
It's been a while, you guys. How's everybody been?
Pretty good.
Just pretty good?
Yeah, just pretty good.
Okay.
Life's been just average.
I feel like this year for me is going to be a good year. I'm going back to Jersey in a couple weeks. I got a trip planned for work. I got to go to Taiwan. And then we planned a vacation to Japan. So this is going to be the travel year. This is the year I get out.
That's good.
For me, life's been kicking my ass. So,
Why, Tess?
What's up?
no, just in the world of open relationships, I feel like it's been a real learning curve this year. And got talking with Brian on the phone about it. And we were talking about how even if things are really challenging for us or good or bad for us, there's some kind of almost a twisted appeal. Brian,
Yes.
Is that kind of what we were talking about?
100%.
Like things that challenge us or things that we're like, why do I keep doing this when it's so hard? Or why do I keep doing this when it's kicking my ass, right? And I do keep doing it, even though it's kicking my ass. We started talking about the psychology behind that.
I could relate, right? So everybody that's listened to the shows knows about the devil, okay? And the relationship I had when I got divorced, I went and thought I was moving to California, and my gut was telling me, she's doing this behind your back. But the fictitious part in my head was, there's no way she's doing that. So it was that constant battle. It was the roller coaster ride I was constantly on. And when Tess was talking to me, she was talking about some stuff that's going on. And when she was telling me the story, it was, and I say it's funny, Tess, it's not, I don't mean it's funny.
No, I get it. Go for it.
But I was like, I'm not going to lie to you. I'm actually excited right now. I don't mean like, oh, I want to go have sex right now, but like I felt like my blood went up and all of the drama she was telling me about was making me flash back to my relationship. And I was like, oh my God, that's what it's like. This pain that you go through. I was explaining to Tess, like, it's like your muscles, right? If you work out every single day, you get bigger muscles. And the more you beat on your muscles and the more you strain them and stress them out, the bigger and stronger they get. Well, your brain and your heart are the same way. The more that you get beat on emotionally and like your heart, it just gets torn apart, the more you feel like, and it gets stronger and stronger. So here it is. I'm like still years removed, but I'm like, oh, that feeling came back from the conversation that we had. I don't know. Anybody ever feel this way?
I have not. I have not. And I'm actually, I have to say, I'm jealous of the fact that you guys have felt that, because that's being alive. That's living.
That's how I felt, Monica.
Yeah.
That is exactly what you said, Brian. Something like that.
Yeah. I said to Tess, you're hurting right now, but you're going to look back at this and say, oh my God, I remember that feeling. Because now you'll be kind of over it a little bit, and you get a little more settled and your heart will calm down and your brain will calm down and get more, okay. And then you'll start to see through the glass and you'll be like, oh, I really missed that feeling. It was crazy. It was a crazy feeling that you miss. It's a visceral response.
No, that feeling's what keeps you going back for more. Like there's something about it, right?
Right. And just like me, you guys both know me. You guys both lived through the devil with me. And you both said, when your heart is done, it'll be done. You'll know.
Exactly.
Right.
And
I was about to say
like we
that.
said, Tess, maybe you're just not done yet. Yeah. And when you are
your
done,
heart
you'll
can't
go
take
back.
anymore.
Yeah. When you can't take anymore, you'll know. And it'll finally be like 2 years will go by, 3 years will go by. You're like, oh my God. Like when things turn quote unquote normal, you're going to be like, boy, I missed that roller coaster. It was an adrenaline rush.
I'm not into that roller coaster. Like generally me personally, my personality, I don't like that being in a visceral, volatile state. For me, it's been like massive nervous system activation. I don't like being in that state, but I am attached to the circumstances because I keep chasing what I think is something that's going to be great once we learn how to get there, right? So I feel like for me, I'm not expecting it to stay like this forever. So that's kind of what like keeps me in.
Because you hope you can fix it.
It's not about fixing it. It's about learning. Like what I'm trying to do is a huge learning curve. And there's different people with different life experiences and different traumas and different fears and different feelings. So it's a lot of like it's really not for the faint of heart. And we've talked about that in prior podcasts. So it's about learning and putting the ego aside. And, there's a lot to it.
Understood. But like my point being is like when you reach that, your pinnacle or your calm, what you idealize these relationships to be like, when you get there and everything kind of calms down, you're going to go back and say, do you remember when we were like this? Remember like that? And how alive we felt?
It's going to be a rush.
It's going to be a rush. I'm telling you.
I kind of feel like what we're doing, we're always going to be managing the rush to some degree.
Right. That's fair.
Now, Tess, I think there's a difference between you and Brian, though, the very big difference.
Well, penis and vagina is the difference.
Well, of course. Besides the very obvious, the big difference also is that Brian, you already know that you didn't end up with the person that caused this for you. Whereas Tess, I think you're hoping that this person will still be part of your life and you're going to get through it. Is that correct?
Yeah, that was always the goal.
That's fair, Monica.
There's a piece of like trying to hang on to what it could be. And I think, Brian, you went through that too.
Yes.
Or hanging on to what it could be.
Mm-hmm.
Yes, I did this twice, Tess. I got divorced and wound up in 2 roller coaster relationships. And the conversations, like if they talked, I was so attentive. And when we went out, I was so attentive and I was so in the moment every single time, and I'm not downplaying my relationship now because it's wonderful. But like if we're having dinner, I'm not really attentive, I'm watching a movie. I'm literally just watching the movie. You don't need, in the other relationships, like if we went to dinner, it was like pure attentiveness. And then if there was drama, there was drama. But by the end of the night, you argued it. And then you have makeup sex in the grand scheme of things, which was completely and unbelievably passionate. And in the moment, it was different. It was completely different. So when I was hearing you talk about all your stuff, I was like, I'm not saying I want to go back to it, but there was a complete visceral reaction that I had.
If the devil came back right now, this minute, and told you, I want you back, what would you do?
Well, if I'm going to be completely honest on this podcast, I will never leave this woman.
No.
I will never leave her. Will I think, oh my God, I'm not going to lie. I would probably be like, what the hell? Like I would relive every
you skip
moment.
A beat.
Yes. Something unbelievably like catastrophic would have to happen for me to leave these 2.
So I was talking to someone, professional about some of the stuff that I was going through. And she had said, why do you keep putting yourself in a situation that is so, challenging or that's hard or that causes you struggle or pain or difficulty? And she had told me about this book. And it's called Existential Kink. It's about us being attracted to the dark. But it's saying that ultimately, if we face the darkness that's inside of us, we can truly get to what we really want. But I think like we spend so much time, like we're attracted to things that are bad for us, but there's a reason. And we have to like be able to look down inside of ourselves and figure out why, get to the source of it, the truth of it.
Em was listening to a podcast very similar to like what your book was, right? And she said to me, because of the way you were brought up in an alcoholic household, you were always afraid if your father was going to come home, or when he did come home, like what was going to happen? What kind of attitude was going to happen? Like what kind of drama was going to happen? Like you thrive on drama because you were programmed at such a young age to cope with that drama. And it became a normal thing for you. So when you got older, and I was like, oh my God, I never believed in that stuff. But then the more you had that conversation with me, Tess, and then Em was telling me about it, I'm like, your childhood does play a huge role. So it makes sense when people say, like, when you go to see somebody and they're like, well, let's talk about your childhood. It makes sense now.
I always go back to that movie Inside Out. Brian, you had to have watched it. Tess, did you ever watch that Pixar movie? It is a kid's movie, but it is like way too smart for a kid's movie. And it's all about inside of this little girl's brain from when she was born. And throughout her whole life, she's just been developing all these memories, and these memories get stored in her brain. And then throughout her life, when she needs to make a decision on what to do, or when she reacts to something, they take her memories. And then based on that, that's what they use to have her decide her actions. And then it goes into like depression. actual depression and that it's okay to be sad. And why are you sad? You know, and it's just such a smart movie. It's crazy.
You'd
but
like it,
that's what we are. We are our memories. Even the memories we can't remember, they're still there, triggering our current reality and our current decisions.
Everything that we do or react to or everything goes through the filters of our life experience, right?
But I feel like I am in a dormant stage right now. I feel like I'm in a cocoon right now. I had the conversation with Tess, and then I got my juices flowing, and I was like, I want to write a song. And then the next thing you know, I said to Em, I have nothing. She's like, well, why don't you look back into your past and think about how it made you feel and write a song about that? And within 20 minutes, I had another song after 2 years of not writing a song.
Because you write from extreme emotion.
Yes.
Exactly.
And the first thing she said to me, I played it for her, was like, don't let, your last ex hear this. Because I was writing it right at the moment we broke up and I was moving to Reno. So it was a song that I had in the past. I wrote music for it and I didn't have any lyrics for it, but that put myself back in that situation. And I wrote this song that kind of sounds, well, exactly like my past, right? And she's like, don't you dare let her hear this. She could be like, oh, when you coming home?
I mean, that's the thing. It's like a lot of creatives create from a place of emotion.
I was about to say that a lot of people who create stuff create it from a place of pain.
Yeah.
Very happy people usually don't create stuff because they're just being happy. I have to say, Brian, I mean, I guess sitting next to you for the 6 years that I sat next to you, you would have like moments of sporadic happiness with the devil and New York. I don't know, Staten Island, that's what we call her. But you also had a lot of pain.
Yes.
And I don't think I've ever seen you so consistently content since I started hanging out with you.
Yep, this is very
consistently
true.
content. Yes, you're not in that high euphoric state all the time, but you are consistently content. And it's actually changed you in a way to actually be more positive.
Crazy enough, this is absolutely true.
No, okay.
It's so true.
Why is it crazy?
Because I can never see I'm a Gemini. I was born in the year of the dog. Like in this whole world, like, and Geminis always last. We don't come first for a lot of things. We're too emotional. Like Em told me the other day, I've never dated a Gemini before. And I was like, after a few months, I was like, I don't know if I could do this. This is a lot of energy.
Em said
Good
that?
and bad. Yeah.
Well, you know what? Yeah, no, Cancers aren't like that because Gemini are up and down. Cancers are just more like very emotional and we pout and we go into our shell. And it's hard to get us out, that kind of a thing. Yeah, it's not as volatile emotion.
Yeah, I would say volatile is a good word for us, for Geminis. We're very volatile, good and bad. We're like, let's go do this, let's go do this. Or, I'm fucking doing this. There's no like...
Instead of, no thanks, I don't really want to do that.
Yes, there's none of that.
Well, I got to tell you, you used to tell me that I was even and I never showed any emotion, but you saw a different side to me. My emotion got like ripped out the top of my head.
And it's amazing how somebody pulled it from you.
I don't know if it was a person so much as the situation. Yeah.
Fair. But like, I gotta say, like, I know you keep saying, I don't like that feeling. I understand if you don't like the situation, like the part of it like that, but like, you gotta
being in
admit,
pain.
like,
No.
But when you're in pain, right, you're feeling something. I feel like when you feel pain, it's 10 times stronger than when you feel love. Like you can love somebody, like it feels so good. Like it feels amazing, right? But when you feel pain, you feel 50 different emotions. Love is just, okay, I love you. And you feel that love, that euphoric love. But when you feel pain, there's a whole realm of different feelings and textures and tastes that go along with it.
Are you talking about feeling pain with that person you love that causes you euphoria?
Emotional
yeah,
pain.
like the emotional like pain, yeah.
Because you can have emotional pain with your parents and your friends and
right,
stuff. But you're
right.
talking about experiencing pain specifically with that one person
Correct.
who makes you feel euphoric. Okay.
Yes. But I mean, it could even spill over though if you want to go back deeper, right? With your parents, you know, like when they guilt you and do stuff, it's a long lasting pain. Where if you got slapped, I bet you there was a time you got slapped and you don't remember that time, but you can remember this time that they said something to you that emotionally jilted you. The slap goes away. The words don't go away, you know? So like when you're in that emotional, that pain with that person that you're giving your trust to, you're giving your body to, you're giving your spirit, your soul to, you're giving them everything.
Yeah.
When it's jilted, you're like, oh, oh my God. Yeah. Because you didn't choose your parents.
Difficult times.
You chose this person, right? So this was a choice you made.
There's a choice you continue to make sometimes.
Yes.
That's, I think, the thing. You continue to go back in the water, and you don't know what's going to bring you, and you actually kind of know it's going to bring you tumult, but you go in anyway because it's worth it, right?
Yeah, I think it's worth it.
I'm not saying all of them are. It depends if you're the right person or the right situation. There's obviously a lot of people that if you go back in the water, you're stupid, right? We shouldn't. But one of the things we always talked about is every single person has to weigh out for them when the positives outweigh the negatives and vice versa.
Completely agree.
I'm curious because like I said, I've never experienced like that type of euphoric feeling with somebody. What is like the root cause of why this person causes those feelings for you?
We're like atoms, right? You bang into people. For me personally, to answer that question, when I saw the devil, it was chemical. I didn't know her from just a picture I saw of her. But from the moment I saw her, say what you want about the relationship, I know in my heart of hearts that girl felt a complete and utter connection to me as well. It was chemical. When people saw us together, they were like, have you guys been together for 20 years? You guys are like absolutely perfect together. I was drawn to her like a magnet. She understood my personality. She understood my humor.
It was probably a soul connection.
It was. Yeah. It was crazy.
What about you, Tess?
I was thinking when you asked it, there are certain situations that force you to grow and have to become better. There was an old song not old, but it's been a while, from Garth Brooks called You Move Me. And it was like, I can't be with you and stay where I'm at. And so he was saying, you move me. You get me dealing with things I never had to deal with before. And I feel like people can have multiple soul connections. I don't think they only have one soulmate. And I think that there's a draw that keeps bringing you back to that person because there's a soul connection. And I think that there's just something about the extreme emotions. You go through those when there's a growth opportunity. And a lot of people don't recognize a growth opportunity. They just see the pain and then they're like, I can't do this anymore. But then if you like literally say, no, like this person's a mirror, like everybody's a mirror to who you are. You don't even know who you are until it gets reflected back to you by being in relationships with people. And I'm not just talking romantic with that. I don't know if I answered it, Monica, but I think that there's a draw for me for the growth involved in things that are hard if I feel they're worth it or there's a good reason for it.
And they challenge you in ways you're not accustomed to. In all of my relationships, started dating at like 13 years old, dating. And then I got married, got divorced at 45. That whole time, I didn't give a shit in the relationship. I liked who I was with. I was kind or I cheated. It didn't matter. Like, I didn't care. I was like, oh, I'm with this person. And if there's something happens, I'll be with somebody else. It was up until I got divorced and dated the devil that my whole thought process changed. And I got gray hair. That's when it all started. This person had a PhD in clinical psychology. You don't get any more challenged than that. So you're right, Tess. She made me think outside the box too.
It's that term I've heard other people use. They kept me on my toes.
Yeah, I say it all the time.
Mm-hmm.
And Em always says to me, she goes, sometimes I worry that you're just going to leave because I don't keep you on your toes, And I'm like, I'm in a cocoon right now. I don't want to talk about me leaving right there. just let me be. Let me be me right now.
I don't think you're going to leave, but I believe that if you do leave, you're going to come back.
Well,
if M takes you back too.
Yeah, no, I would never leave. Let's go on the record. It's good. Like I said, it could take something catastrophic.
I don't think you would either.
But I would never go back. I mean, it's hard to go backwards. Let's put it that way. Mm-hmm. When your heart knows it's done, it's really, really difficult to go backwards.
My mom used to say the worst saying whenever you break up with somebody. Basura que boto no la recojo. Garbage that I throw out, I don't pick back up again.
Yeah.
Just not nice, but that's what she used to say.
Well, this is going to sound crazy, Monica, but I truly wish for you to find this relationship.
I don't know. But
the thing is are you open
She's not.
to that experience?
She's not.
I'm too much of flight risk. I'm too much of a runner. Like, fight or flight. I'm a flight. As soon as I see that somebody's like cuckoo for Cocoa Puffs, I just like, okay, bye-bye. I don't need this.
But they can challenge you without being crazy.
I guess. I guess I'd have to see what the challenge would be. I know that I do not like to be afraid in a relationship, like afraid of the person. And I've been afraid of the person I'm with.
That's an awful feeling.
Right.
More than once. Yeah. So afraid of their temper.
It's not the passion we're talking about.
Yeah. And I don't want to have that.
No, that's a completely different thing than what we're describing. 100%.
Yeah.
I don't feel like the people in my life are crazy. I feel like the situation, what we're trying to do, inherently brings a lot of stress. And I also think like the feeling we're describing is like when somebody comes in and it can be volatile because there's a lot of passion or because like they like somehow bring out the things in us that we need to work on. We have to decide like if we're willing, if we're going to just like, because some people just go, oh, I just see this as your problem because you don't like it about me. Or no, do I really need to look at me and see if this needs to change?
But they'll also bring it out of you, Tess, and you're not ready for it to be brought out. So you don't know how to react to it. So one of the reactions are fear. The other one is anger because wow,
ego.
Your ego kicks. You're right. Your ego. You get backed into the wall. Your hair goes up. You don't know how to act.
Yeah, it's definitely, it's really interesting. There's just some human thing that makes us get drawn to the things that are crazy making. I don't know. It just is. So the description for this book that I was talking about, Existential Kink, and by the way, the word kink has nothing to do with sex here. It means getting off on something, being attracted to something. There's a quote on it that says, we always get exactly what we want, but often, though we may not be aware of it, what we most want is dark, very dark.
And what I was saying to Tess that day basically quoted something in the book. And you're like, no fucking way. I just got this book. It said the same exact thing.
And I talked to Brian before I saw this therapist. And after I finished having my session with her, she suggested this book. And then I start reading this book and I'm like, Brian was telling me, don't you kind of get off on the bad a little bit? And I'm like, no, I don't. And then this book comes along describing the exact sentiments that he was challenging me on. But it says, each of us has a dual nature. We are light conscious and dark unconscious. The dark side of our personality, the other, the shadow side, is made up of what we think is our primitive, primal, negative impulses, our existential kink. Our existential kink also drives the darker, negative, repeating patterns in our life. Always choosing the abusive partner or boss, settling for less, thinking that we're undeserving, not worthy, but it's also the source of greatest power. So for anybody that's interested, that is by Carolyn Elliott. But it's fascinating, right? I think it's very interesting.
Yeah, I completely agree.
That makes me wonder because I was thinking that I'm afraid of partners who get angry at me till it becomes fear. And I'm wondering if that's my dark side. Why do I keep falling for these guys who eventually turn out to be almost abusive? Like I'm attracted to it. I'm attracted to these people at first. And then when they become that way, then I lose
maybe there's a certain energy to them.
Right.
Yeah. So it's like, it actually scares me because I don't want to be in that relationship anymore. But it's like almost like every time I start with somebody, it's like there's something dark about them. And I don't know why I'm attracted to that. I can't figure it out.
Is that happening just because those are the people you meet? Or is that who you think you're getting attracted to?
I mean, it's probably just because of the people I meet. I'm wondering if they're attracted to me because they see a person who they think can be abused.
I can see that, Monica, but I kind of agree with you because your persona, trust me, when I say all this, I don't mean it in a negative way. You're very quiet. You're meek. The type of person where like, the stigma of like where they say white guys like Asian women because they're submissive. You seem that way, Monica, until you start to get to know you. And then you realize she's not that person.
I can see that.
Right. Because you're naive as hell, but
gullible. I'm very gullible.
Yeah, exactly. But you're a logical
I wouldn't
thinker.
think that either.
Oh, she's ridiculously gullible. But she is such
maybe naive as far as some of these experiences, but
no, I mean in life in general, Tess.
Intelligent, intellectual, and
trust me, Tess. I
life in general,
like half the things Brian told me, and I'm sitting there like, oh, really? It was a lie, Monica. I'm like, oh,
all right then. You just take people at face value.
She does. 100%.
What you see is what you get. What I say is what I mean. I don't give hidden meanings in my words. I don't try to code things so people can't figure me out. There's no mystery about me.
Let me ask you this. If you think about a guy that's like the complete opposite of this normal type that ends up becoming like, anger or temper or whatever, like just picture somebody that would never be like that. Does that appeal to you at all?
It does. But most of the time, I don't appeal to those guys.
Really?
Like I try to look for those guys when I'm swiping through Bumble and they're not the ones. Like when I go finally see who's liked me, it's not them.
But if you're talking about a guy that's not abusive and doesn't have a temper and all that, like that's a wide net.
Yeah, I thought so too.
Yeah. I try to go for guys who have like a more of like a, not such
More
a masculine
subdued.
energy. Yeah. More subdued energy. And I don't think they find me attractive. And I don't know why. Maybe because they think I don't have confidence, maybe? I don't know.
A profile thing is really too hard to even know somebody, I don't think, but.
Yeah.
You got to talk to the person and you got to see them face to face. It's really difficult when you're just talking.
I think so. You got to get the interest enough to get face to face, right?
Yeah. I have to just grow some balls, really. Just like get out there. You know, thanks to I did join Meetup, right? And I get all these like alerts about something, but I have not been to one Meetup event yet. And then this past Saturday, they actually had, like, I joined one of the dance meetup groups, and they had this little party at this restaurant only 40 minutes away from me. And it was supposed to be an 80s, 90s themed party, which is like my favorite thing to ever go to.
And you didn't go, why?
Because there was nobody to go with me, and I didn't want to walk in there alone.
But the whole point is
a meetup.
I know.
You know, the other 100 people that were there had the same exact feeling, but showed up.
Some of them might know each other already, but, you know, if you show up alone and you just like walk up to someone else,
I'm sure if I read up there and said I was part of the meetup group, they'd be nice to me, because obviously they joined the meetup group for a reason too.
Yeah.
But I didn't go, and I have to say I regretted it afterwards. I'm like, gosh darn it, I should have gone.
You could have been the one out there dancing by yourself. Someone would have joined you. So this meetup group that you joined, is there different kinds of events, or is it all like, is it a dance?
Yeah, there's different kinds of events. I joined the dance groups. I joined the hiking group. I joined, I think there was another kind of group. Yeah, it was funny because I tried to join different dance groups, and I cracked up because there was one dance group I tried to join, and then I got an email saying the dance group has declined your request to join the group. I'm like, what the hell?
Based on what?
I don't know. Fuck you, meetup group.
So I want to change the subject for a split second. So the other day, while I was writing my song, I would have my little iPad in front of me, and I'm staring off into space. You know, Em would come in the room and say, what are you doing? I was like, trying to figure out my lyrics. And I'm like, literally like just deep in thought. So that night we were in bed and we're talking, and she says to me, hey, I want to know what kind of porn gets you off. So I think, I didn't ask her, I think she thought I was looking at porn while I was sitting there with the iPad.
When you were working on your lyrics.
Well, and I told her I'm working on my lyrics. I don't know if she believed me or not.
Did you ask her?
I didn't.
So she'll find out when she hears this episode. Okay.
Right. Yeah, exactly. But the point is, like, after the whole thing, I'm having this conversation with the three of us. I'm wondering if this is going to open up a can of worms for me, because the porn that I like is freaky for some people. My taste in porn, it's obviously Asian or black. Like, I like black women too, right? I like to see them. Like, I love their color of their skin. Oh, it's just amazing. And I'm not going to lie. Part of it, me being white and them being black, it's like kind of cool. Like, it's just, you know, yeah, I don't know.
Contrast? What is it? Is it visual?
Yeah. Like, to see my white penis going into this black person would be so amazing, right? Like, I love watching it.
I get it, Brian, because like when I see movies where it's black, you know, like I don't watch porn, but like I love movies with like good sex scenes in it.
Yeah.
And I always think that the ones where there's a black person in the sex scene, it's actually very beautiful. Because the skin.
It is beautiful. I agree.
Because it just looks very appealing versus, I'm sorry, guys, but you put a pasty white person having sex. It's like no racism to white people.
But that's what like, I feel like, Monica. I agree. Like I said, like if I see two white people going on, I'm like, no.
It's why so many people put tanners on. They do the tanning because they know that the white, really, really, really white skin does not look good.
Yeah, because like Em is very dark. She's not one of those. You know, you've seen her, right? She's not a pasty Japanese person. She's a dark Japanese person, right? And I love it. I love the color of her skin. But like the porn that I watch is that. It's like the black and the white, or the white and the Asian, or the black and the Asian. It's just very mixed. It's a very mixed bundle.
Yes, you and I were thinking the same thing. I was saying that's not bad.
It gets worse.
Just like it gets worse.
I just don't know. As open as I am, I'm like, I don't know, maybe I just keep some things in the vault.
I'm with you. I have my freaky secrets too. I'm totally with you. So what happened when she asked you this question? How'd you handle that? Did you engage, or?
I said, not tonight. I have to be in the right frame of mind. Well, we've been experimenting, you know, with some butt play.
Oh, okay.
You know, not me trying to penetrate her, penally. but like just touching and rubbing and because it's very sensitive down. And I got to tell you, she's been doing it. The feeling is pretty intense. So I haven't had that intense feeling in a while, but it's starting to come out. So I'm like, maybe if I tell her about the porn I like, maybe I'll start getting some intense feelings again. This is a slow roll.
You have said it in the past that being with Em is like, you love her and everything, but like it is kind of safe.
Yes.
She's the woman you marry.
Like you don't want to do certain like really kinky stuff.
It's very missionary. it's very missionary. The other night she gets on top of me. She's trying to do something different. And she's like, straddling me and me being her and I, not the old me. I was like, hun, is your hip okay? She goes, it is a little sore. So it's like, she's trying something different, but I could tell she was uncomfortable. So Monica, I got to ask the question that everybody's dying to know. You don't talk to the milkman anymore, do you?
I do.
Oh.
All right.
We still see each other. Not as often, but we still see each other.
I'm going to get a little more personal. How's the pain been?
Emotionally?
No.
Oh, the physical pain.
Because you had mentioned you were having some physical pain.
I did. Did I tell you guys that the doctor said I was postmenopausal?
I don't think I heard that.
Yeah. I took a test. I finally took the blood test and it came back that I'm postmenopausal.
Oh, you bitch. Sorry. I can't wait to be to menopause and there's no sign it's coming. So I'm like, what the hell?
I can't complain though, because like, to me, I'm like thinking like, holy shit, I got lucky because I barely felt anything.
Oh, you got lucky. Yeah. From what I've heard. I
barely felt anything. I didn't have the mood swings. I was just my normal self. I kind of had a little bit of the temperature changes where it was cold. It would get hot, but it wasn't really that bad. I think I'm getting now the feelings of the extreme dryness because I'm postmenopausal and that's why I'm having it. But I don't have really dry skin or anything. I mean, I hope my bones don't start breaking anytime soon from if I get osteoporosis.
Is the milkman very gentle now?
So we found a solution. I will recommend it to our listeners if you ever have this problem. So regular lube does not work. I had to get something called Replens. It is specifically geared towards women who have excessive vaginal dryness. Mm-hmm. And it works wonders. Okay. It works wonders.
Replens.
Yeah.
Good, because I think at some point in the last year, I remember thinking that you were like, if I never do it again, that's okay. And I was like, oh.
Yeah, because it was so painful. It was so painful. He would actually feel really bad. Like, are you sure? And I was like, I'm fine. But it was really painful. It was so painful that I never overcame it. Like it never got better on its own. Mm. No lubes work. So I had to get the Replens and the Replens did work. So I'm actually happy looking at the positive side that I'm postmenopausal and I barely had any symptoms. I'm like, okay, I'll take it.
That's great.
I have to say though, I told you guys that I reached puberty really young, right? I was in 4th grade. I had just barely turned 10. So they do say that the younger you reach puberty or start menstruating as a girl, the sooner you reach menopause because there's only a certain amount of eggs.
Well, does anybody have any closing thoughts?
No, I don't have any.
I will say with those people that are in those weird, screwy relationships, enjoy those ups and downs. Feel that pain. It's okay because you might miss it later on.
Yeah, it's a life experience that in one way or another will make you smarter and better.
It's going to teach you either what you want or you don't want. You don't know till you try.